There, this is Kaushik Ranchod from the Ranchod Law Group. Welcome to our weekly immigration show. So happy to have you here. I represent clients across the 50 states and worldwide. So today we are going to be talking about a really exciting, interesting topic about COVID-19 vaccine, how that affects your immigration application, because yes, this is something that is new with immigration policy. So you'll want to stay tuned to learn about this. And even if this doesn't apply to you, share it with a friend, because you never know what kind of information could be helpful to them. And let's get started. But before we get started, smash that like button. Okay, so when you're applying for what's called an adjustment of status, that's the legal term for a marriage-based green card. When you're applying for that, you have to also submit Form I-693, which is the medical examination. Now, this has always been a requirement. When you're filing for the medical, you have to get that done by a designated USCIS physician. So you can't get that done by, for instance, your Kaiser primary care physician unless they were a designated USCIS physician. You can find that at the My USCIS Find a Doctor page. If you type in your address, your information about where you live, it will tell you the physicians that you can go and see. If you can also call the USCIS Contact Center at 800-375-5283. Just to forewarn you, it is not fun to call USCIS, so I advise you just go to the website. Also, I did another video on Emma Chat, so you can avoid having to contact USCIS whenever possible, so you can save precious minutes of your life not being online or on the phone waiting for them to take your call. When you apply for the marriage-based green card application, you do that with the physician that is in the United States. Now, this is for the adjustment of status, the process of where you're filing the 485 in the US. This is not for filing for an immigrant visa. This is different than the immigrant visa process, where you do file the I-130 in the US, but you're working with the Department of State for the latter part with the National Visa Center, where you have to submit your affidavit of support, DS-260, and then you have US Embassy interview, and you go to the interview. Well, there, since you're applying with the Department of State as a primary agency administering this process, you don't need to get a designated physician in the US, but rather, Department of State physicians are located outside of the United States. Now you might be wondering, well, how much does it cost for me to see this doctor? Well, USCIS does not regulate fees for physicians. So my advice to you is call around and see who has the best rate, because there's not a difference in service or ability as to whether or not they're going to give you the exam. The exam is the exam. Now, there might be a difference in when you can go in to see them, but other than that, I would definitely call around so you can find out and compare. Now, you might be wondering, well, what about completing the medical exam? You can go to the USCIS.gov website, look up the form on the website, and print out the Form I-693 and bring it to your medical exam and give it to the designated USCIS physician. You can complete part 1 of the exam, but this is very important. Don't sign until the physician instructs you to do so. Now, you might be asking, well, what does the physician do with the Form I-693? Well, they use that to document the results of your medical exam. Your designated physician will then complete it, sign it, and seal it. It's really important that you do not break the seal. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to, it won't be considered a valid submission. So once they seal it, do not open it. Now, what you've been waiting for, how does the COVID-19 vaccination play into all of this? If you're submitting the Form I-693 after October 1st, 2021, then you must provide proof of being vaccinated for COVID-19. What if you got your medical before October 1st, 2021? If your medical remains valid, then you won't have to obtain the vaccine. Now, we talked about going in for that appointment. So another thing now that the physician will do is they'll review and inspect the vaccination records that you have to confirm that you actually did have a valid vaccination. Review of vaccination documentation is going to require a vaccination record, copy of a medical chart with physician entries, and review by appropriate medical personnel. Now, what if you self-report? Does that count? You might be wondering, well, what if I show one of those home test reports and it shows that I'm negative? Can I use that? The self-reported vaccine does not constitute proof, so you cannot use that. Not only that, but additionally, the I-693 must be completed by the USCIS physician, and they must also document the doses and the formulation of the vaccine. Now you might be wondering, well, are there exceptions to this? So I'm going to list some of the exceptions. So one is if you're a child and you're too young to take the vaccine. Also, if you're an individual who has a medical contraindication to the vaccine, or foreign nationals who live in an area where approved vaccines are not routinely available. Now, what if you're traveling to the United States as a foreign traveler? Do you need the vaccine? And the answer is that you will need to provide proof in this situation if you're a foreign traveler to demonstrate that you have been vaccinated, and there are some very limited exceptions to that rule, but in general, that's the case. All right, well, I hope that this video served you. I hope you know more about your medical examination requirements. One of the requirements that is very important, it is a mandatory requirement for your green card application. So thank you for tuning in. And if you would like to post your comments below, please do so. We will see you next week. And I want to thank you for being amazing, because by watching this video, you're bettering yourself. By bettering yourself, you're bettering your family. And by bettering your family, you're bettering the world. Bye for now.